Hi, I'm Steve Stoltz Costello, Senior Pastor of Faith United, and I want to tell you about our visioning process. We are now in another season of visioning. Let me give you a little background about that history here at Faith United. When I came to Faith United under appointment from the bishop in 2009, the hospitality team gave me a copy of the pictorial directory that was celebrating its 50 years, and it was published in 2006. And the church was started in 1956. In that pictorial directory, they gave extra attention to kind of telling the story about this church since it was started in 1956, and it was organized by decade. And so you'd open up and you'd see each page would celebrate some of the highlights of each decade. And the thing that just was so astonishing to me is that every decade since 1956, Faith United has engaged in visioning, and that has resulted in some bold, courageous projects to help expand the mission and ministry of this church. So for example, the first thing after they started worshiping at the community center, which is now the YMCA, they had a vision to build their first sanctuary, and that got completed, which is now our chapel, and it was Robinson Hall. And then very soon after that, they began to think about a sanctuary where they could have air conditioning, because they didn't have air conditioning back in the chapel in those days. And then in 1979, our new sanctuary, 1979, was completed. Even as the last things were being completed on that sanctuary, there was already talk about building a family life center. And in 2001, we finished the Family Life Center. We expanded the Learning Center capabilities. We also built our administrative wing with all of our offices and created the gathering area, remodeled the chapel. All of these were incredible accomplishments. And then in 2000 to 2010, there were capital campaigns to finish paying those off. And then 2010 to 2020, we launched our 2020 Vision campaign. That resulted in the remodeling of our sanctuary. It still had the red carpet that was installed in 1979. Now we've got beautiful maple floors and all of the beautiful things that have happened there to make that a little bit more up to date. That was just one thing, but that whole 2020 vision allowed us to expand our mission and ministry, doing all kinds of things in the community, and that continues to have an impact on us today, as well as keeping the maintenance of the facilities up. One of the things that happened in 2020 was not to expand the footprint of the building, but to expand our faith footprint. In other words, our influence in the community for the purpose and mission of Jesus Christ. And so now that we are in 2022, we have launched into another season for a new decade of our visioning. And we've been inviting the congregation. Certainly you've seen this and been a part of this. We've had the whiteboard out in the gathering area now for more than a couple months. We've been taking in all these ideas and goals. And then we've worked with all the different ministry groups and teams and asked them to be praying about and work through what God is calling them. Everybody just wrestling and praying about the question, what is God calling us to do and be in the next 3, 5, and 10 years? And then all those are coming in. We now have over 130 goals, but what we need to do now is we need to do some discerning and decide which of those are highest priority that we want to really work on in the next few years. And those goals have ranged. They've ranged from things that cost $0, but involve more volunteers and people to be an impact in our community. And some things are quite pricey. For example, we've had a task group now that's been working on looking at our organ. We found out last January when they came to do the organ tuning and assessment that the organ is in need of some significant repairs or upgrades. And we've got a task group that's been working on that. That organ is over 40 years old. That's a lot of time for an organ, and it's got a lot of electronics. Imagine what electronics were 40 years ago. The task group has got a preliminary report and recommendation. They're going to share that at our Vision Summit on October 15th. But I'll share with you now that already the estimates are looking at $185,000 to $200,000 to do the kind of upgrades that will expand our capability, expand our ministry for Celebrate Arts and other things in worship. That's one example. Other examples include the possibility of expanding the facilities out west or perhaps south, add-ons to the facilities so we can do more with our with our Learning Center, as well as ministries of the church. Other goals include new signs, renovating the basement, making this balcony here in the sanctuary accessible with an elevator, or an elevator to make it accessible to the basement. All of these kinds of things, we need to get together and discern which things are most important. That's a challenging task, and it calls for prayer, but it really calls for all of us as a body of Christ to come together. I'm hoping that we'll get over 100 people to come out for this season of visioning, and that you'll be a part of that experience. You can join us in person or by Zoom. Those in person will be gathering in the Family Life Center. We've not been in there since pre-COVID, so that in itself will be a great thing. We'll do it hybrid so that those who want to join us by Zoom, we can do that. So again, put on your calendar, October 15th. It's from 9 to noon, but we're asking folks to come about 8:45 so we have a chance to kind of have a little fellowship, settle in. We'll start right at 9. We will not go past 12. Maybe we'll get out a little bit earlier. And I just look forward to seeing how God is going to work through that Visioning Summit to help us truly discern and prioritize and cast our vision as a congregation for just such a time as this. Thank you.